This is 1.6 of GCSE Maths multiplying fractions. So this is a lot easier than the last video where we were adding and subtracting them, because it's literally if you have two fractions, a over b multiplied by another fraction, c over d, we'll call a, b, c and d just numbers, then the resulting fraction is ac over b, d. That's a times c over b times d. So literally if you have a half times a third, you multiply the numerators, 1 times 1 is 1, multiply the denominators, 2 times 3, 6, done. So a third times a half is a sixth. And if we do another one, if we do 2/7 times 3 over 5, 2 times 3 is 6, 7 times 5 is 35. You multiply the numerators, that gives you the resultant numerator. You multiply the denominators, that gives you the resultant denominator. You do have to try and make sure, however, that your final answer is in simplest form, and you can do this in two ways. Either you can multiply it as normal, so 1 times 6 is 6, 2 times 7 is 14, and then simplify that, so we can divide top and bottom by 2 to get 3 over 7. Or what I prefer to do, if you can get used to it, is you can what we call cross simplify. So if you have 2 over 4, for example, you know that's 1/2 because you divide them top and bottom by 2. But what's key to note with this sum here, half times 6/7, is I could just swap this 2 and a 7 to get a 7 times 6 over 2, because I'm still doing 1 times 6 on both sums and 2 times 7 on both sums. Just this is 7 times 2, which is the same thing as 2 times 7, and either way you'll end up as 6 over 14 as before, as shown here. So what that means is, of course, you can clearly see this 6 over 2 is just 3. 6 divided by 2 is just 3. Divide top and bottom by 2. So you can simplify numbers across diagonally like this, or like this. As long as you are simplifying a numerator and a denominator, then the simplification is valid. So we can do this denominator divided by 2 and this numerator divided by 2. Now we have 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 times 7 is 7, and that gets you straight to the simplified answer. And that would mean if you had a sum, let's say half times 2/3 times 3/4 times 4/5, right? Remember, as long as you cancel any numerator, you cancel any other denominator, the sum is still valid. So if I was to do this normally, I'd have 1 times 2 times 3 times 4, 4 times 3 is 12, times 2 24, and here I have 5 times 4 is 20, times 3 is 60, times 2 is 120. So I'd have 24 over 120, and I can divide top and bottom by 2, and by 2 again, and by 2 again, and then by 3. So the answer is just a fifth. Or, as I've discussed, we can do this denominator divided by 2 and this numerator divided by 2. This denominator divided by 3 and this numerator divided by 3. And this denominator divided by 4 and this numerator divided by 4. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 times 1 times 5 is 5, and you get to your 1/5 much quicker. So if you can get used to this idea of cross simplification, as long as you simplify one numerator and one denominator, you're fine. That's much better. That only works if you are multiplying or dividing, as we'll show in the next video. We'll do one more example. Let's say I had something like 3/5 times by 10 over 9. I can either do 3 times 10 is 30, 5 times 9 is 45, and I can actually divide top and bottom here by 15, but if you can't notice that, you can divide first by 3 and then by 5. So the answer is 2/3. Or if you want to use the shortcut, this numerator divided by 3, this denominator divided by 3, this numerator divided by 5, and this denominator divided by 5. 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 3 is 3, you get 2/3 either way. If you have a mixed number being multiplied by anything, just convert it to an improper fraction. So 1/3 is 4/3, and then you take 4/3 times 2/7. No cross simplification here. There's no simplifying we can do. 4 and 7 don't show any numbers, 2 and 3 don't show any numbers. 4 times 2 is 8, and 3 times 7 is 21, and that's your final answer. And that's all there is to 1.6. See you in 1.7.